Hello there. Thank you for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Today on the Hangout, President Muhammadu Buhari hails outstanding Tinubu at 65. And Defense Minister says Shekau is still in Sambisa Forest, vows, however, to capture him. Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Yomi Olomofe and Dari Odufowokon will be hanging out with me today on Journalist Hangout, and the Hangout starts now. William Shakespeare says, when we are born, we cry because we're come to this great stage of fools. Well, he may be right, but some people take big risks so big that they become movers and makers of history. They strive to leave indelible marks on the sands of time and leave the world better than they met it. This is typical of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a former senator, governor, an astute accountant, a strategist, and national leader of the All Progressives Congress. He is 65 years old today. Yes, he cried at birth, but posterity favors him today as he smiles at the marks he has made. On the occasion of his birthday, his friends and foes have taken turns to rain encomiums on him. President Muhammadu Buhari couldn't deny Asiwaju's sacrifice for the advancement of Nigeria's democracy. He says the nation has benefited a lot from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's personal sacrifices, political experience, and intellectual foresight. Are these attributes exaggerated? Welcome. Gentlemen, thank you for being on Journalist Hangout. By my immediate left, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. And next to him is Yomi Olomofe. And of course, to my extreme right is Dari Odufowokon. Thank you for joining us. Jide, are these attributes exaggerated?
Actually, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a lot more than you can say in a few words. I've been a student of his peculiar brand of politics for more than 20 years, and I can tell you that he's one of a kind. You know, his capacity to build friendship is legendary, and he also has a forgiving heart. I don't know any politician who has been offended again and again and again and still finds a way to bring the same people who have offended him back to his side.
Back to him.
I don't know any politician. In fact, some of his own loyalists quarrel with his capacity to forgive and the frequency with which he forgives those who wrong him politically. Because they don't see other politicians.
I want you to hold a thought there. We have a package on Asiwaju which we must take now. Let's have it.
Tinubu is a great mobilizer and a practical man of action. He is equally effective in conceiving, planning, and executing governmental development policies. The Jagaban of Borgu is the outstanding Yoruba politician of his generation.
In the last decade or two, no one in the political space in this country has created more leaders out of his followers like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
His blueprint has continued to serve as a roadmap to achieving the Lagos of ease and our dreams.
The economic template that we're now trying to replicate at federal level is the one we copied from you.
Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Asiwaju of the universe.
Happy birthday, sir.
Yes, Nigeria practically converged at that venue to celebrate Asiwaju, and politicians across the divide took turns to rain encomiums on Asiwaju. And Babajide Kolade Otitoju, just before that report was taken, was telling us about how he has a forgiving heart. Listen.
Yes. You see, I was saying that even his own loyalists quarrel with him on account of his capacity to forgive. Many people said Awolowo was not the sort of leader who would easily forgive. But this is a different animal to Awolowo. And he's been able to do some of those things that Awo could not do. Building bridges, you know, across the length and breadth of Nigeria. For example, Awo was not really accepted in northern Nigeria. Neither was he accepted in the southeast. Because I remember that in the southeast, Awo would go to campaign and his vehicle will be stoned. In some places, they won't even allow him to campaign. Even when he picked Philip Umeadi, an Igbo man, as his running mate. The North distrusted Awo, you know, throughout his political career. But I saw during the last electioneering campaigns, the love that Northerners have for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I was watching the rally in Kano, where Buhari recorded the largest crowd of all his campaigns. And the people were rooting for Asiwaju to be given the mic to speak. That was really significant to me because I do not know any Yoruba leader with that kind of regard amongst Northerners. Even Bola Ige, who was born in Zaria, who probably spoke better Hausa than Yoruba, you know, was not accorded that kind of recognition. And it had to do with the fact that many still see Asiwaju as the brain behind even the return of Muhammadu Buhari to the political field. You know, Buhari had announced on national television that he was no longer going to contest. But Asiwaju said, look, this is the man who can guarantee us 14 million votes even without us spending a dime, because of his extreme popularity, especially in the far north. And he convinced Buhari, you know, to run. And he gave him all the support that he needed. Buhari has acknowledged that yesterday, that Asiwaju was a big factor in the defeat of an incumbent president. And the defeat of that incumbent president provided hope for them in Ghana that, look, what those Nigerians have done, we can also replicate. So this is just saying that, look, this man is truly special. Today I was reading Punch newspaper, and on the third page, I saw this advert placed by Fayose. You can call Fayose names, but in the last 2 years, I've seen Fayose repeatedly declare Tinubu as the authentic leader of the Yorubas. And that was what he said in that advert. He said, look, forget about political affiliations. You will remain the leader of the Yorubas at home and abroad. It's on page 3. You can say maybe he's self-serving. Well, he's entitled to his opinion. That is how he feels. And it's not something that he started saying today.
He's been saying it for
that
some
should tell you that, look, this is a man that is truly special.
And I will lend credence to what you said about the Kano rally. In 2011, you know, the love for Asiwaju goes way beyond the 2015 elections. It's the love for him in the north. I was at the Benue rally during the governorship election, and he arrived via helicopter, and you could see the love that the people from the north central part of Nigeria showered on him, you know, as he arrived. Now, let's come to Asiwaju's strategy. Jide began to talk about that strategy as he rounded off his point. Yomi, I'd like you to take that. Someone said just 2 days ago that there is nothing Asiwaju cannot give to achieve a sound political result.
Yeah, that person is right on point. Let me start by saying that though I am yet to meet Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even for once, but studying him from afar, I have come to the personal conclusion that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a phenomenon that is evolving. He has demonstrated an unusual capacity to spot talent, to manage man and material, to multiply material, to multiply resources, to bring out the best in human persons. He has demonstrated an unusual capacity to, like a magnet, draw people to him, friends and foes alike, in near equal measure. He has demonstrated an unusual and uncanny skill at turning stone to gold. He took Lagos from a struggling state to a state that will be prosperous for perhaps as long as you want, as long as you want to think about it. He took politics. Again, I'm not a politician. I'm not a card-carrying member of any political party. He took politics from a level that was nearly yet archaic and prehistoric to a scientific, to a modern, to a lovable level that even those of us who are like die-hard skeptics about politicking are beginning to give serious thoughts to it.
Take a second look at
yes,
Nigerian politics.
You must also give to Asiwaju, just like Jide said, the ability to see beyond your failings, the ability to elevate some of the stronger values in you compared with some of the more negative values.
All right, hold the thought. You're watching Journalists Hangout, and today we're celebrating the life of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as he marks his 65th birthday. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Glad to have you back on Journalists Hangout, and today we're looking at the life of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as he marks his 65th birthday. Many have showered encomiums on him, and the whole of Nigeria, practically all politicians representing every part of the country, converged to celebrate him yesterday, and we're doing just that on Journalists Hangout today. Now I'm coming to you, Dari. Let's look at his philanthropy. Is there any Nigerian politician that surpasses Asiwaju's contributions where philanthropy is concerned?
Thank you very much. I would want to say that one of the strong points of Asiwaju in politics and also in private life is the ability to give. You see, I also want to say that even politically, one thing he has going for him is what I've once described as the proliferation of leadership. And what do I mean? This is what I mean. Asiwaju is the type that wants to create people for them to create others. It's not just about giving political power. In philanthropy, I have been opportuned to hear him ask people, we gave you opportunity. Who have you given opportunity? It is part of him. He sees it as a duty, not just for him, for anybody who is opportune. Asiwaju will gladly give you space to thrive, believing that once you thrive, you will also do the same. Others will thrive through you. His own followership or discipleship will expand. And that's one thing he has going for him. You will find a lot of people who are yet to meet Asiwaju personally, telling you, look, that's the best thing that's ever happened to them. I know people...
their lives never remain the same.
I know people who they've not seen him. But they benefited from somebody who benefited from him. And they will tell you, if they think, like, I was in a BRT bus one day from Ikorodu, and somebody was talking about Nigerian politicians and how they steal and how they milk the country dry. And somehow somebody mentioned Tinubu is now... And about 4 or 5 men stood up and said, if Tinubu is milking this country, let him make very well because he's touching people's lives. And I was taken aback. It's not about just a Yoruba man, not an Igbo man. People feel, look, that's a politician who is touching lives. That's somebody who believes very strongly that he has been called to serve. And because he has been called to, that's why God gave him opportunities. And the best he can do is to give others opportunity. I am in the known of the fact that Tinubu, in his private endeavors, would frown at anything that affects the individual negatively. He would rather have any of his companies struggle, any of his organization manage, than one man having to go home empty-handed or without a job. If there's a man who frowns at getting people sacked or getting people relieved of their duties, he would manage anybody. If you look at the history of Tinubu's politics, like someone said earlier, he is a man who will forgive over and over again. Not just because he cannot find a replacement for whoever, but he strongly believes in the fact that there is somebody who is making a mistake, let's give him more chances. Let's give him another opportunity. And so, and if you also bring that to bear on his politics, you have some of his disciples offending him. You have some of them leaving him at very crucial times to serve other interests. But Asiwaju would gladly have them back. And why is this happening? It is the bridge builder in him. I told someone this recently. I said, Asiwaju, way back to his politics in 1992, 99, must the elements have been made for a time like this. The 2015 election, when Nigeria needed that change so badly, without someone like him selling an opposition candidate to Nigerians as at that time, when so many people were,
who had failed 3 times, repeatedly, who had failed 3 times,
and now he picked somebody who failed 3 times, who announced publicly that he was done with politics. Bringing him,
and he made a president out of it.
He said, "Look, this is the man who can do it." Many people were actually looking at Asiwaju.
Let me tell you, Buhari never won a ward in southern Nigeria
before 2015.
Yes. He never award. He didn't win a award, but somebody who didn't win a award began to win states. You know, began to win states.
And you know, it's significant that at that time, many were expecting that Asiwaju would stand for the position of vice president, but it didn't happen. We saw that he, through his experience, his foresight, his vision, he presented another candidate, and many saw that as a sacrifice.
That's a big sacrifice, and also great politicking. You see, a big sacrifice. Sorry, sir, but great politicking in the sense that any other politician, considering his age, his antecedents, his chances, will have insisted. But here is a man whose interest was, we need to change this government at whatever. And I am glad that even the finance minister came up yesterday to say the federal government is now copying the Lagos model. That is one thing Asiwaju has going for him. A model that is working. If you look at it, in 2000
you talked about his ability to forgive. We can't exhaust Asiwaju if we were to talk about him. Jide, it reminds me of what happened in Ondo State. You know, many expected that Asiwaju, since he didn't actualize his interest in that state, he wouldn't support the candidate that emerged winner. But we saw him calling Arakunrin Akeredolu, congratulating him, and he was even at the inauguration.
Yes, you see, I said it here in the days leading to that election, that one thing that impressed me the most was that despite the disagreements, no doubt about it, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu preferred Abraham to Aketi. He had supported Aketi in the past, and they called him names, for that. But as a good party man, when it became clear to him that, look, this is a lost cause, he queued up behind the candidate of the party. If Asiwaju had wanted to muster all his political muscle, because Aketi was contesting against the candidate on the incumbent, if he had wanted to muster all his political muscle and financial muscle, the APC would not have found it funny in those states. And I know that quite a number of people went to him and pleaded with him that, look, no matter what you have, forget about what the national chairman of the party did, because he actually didn't act like an even-handed party leader. Forget about what has happened. You believe that, yes, you've been wronged. Your candidate was not fairly treated. But this has happened. Let's support the candidate of our party. And that's why President Buhari said, I'm convinced that Tinubu is supporting the candidate of the party. That was days to the election. So at the end of the day, He provided support, his support. He didn't rock the boat. I'm not aware of any of his supporters who rocked the boat, who was seen on election day openly campaigning for the opposition. So that's how to be a good party leader, and that is what he continues to tell his supporters. Remember when he chose Fashola, a lot of his loyalists were not happy. Fashola was his chief of staff. He was working behind the scenes. The politicians didn't like him because he was in the habit of even shielding them from accessing Asiwaju himself. So they didn't like, he was not popular with them, you know. But Asiwaju saw what others did not see. He didn't pick his best friend. He picked a man that he felt would be in the position to continue the good work that he had started, you know. So at the end of the day, people were forced to give him credit for selling a man they felt was unsellable. They said Fashola will not fly. But just as Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola once said, Asiwaju will not give up when he's pursuing a cause until he is guaranteed of success. And that's what he did with Fashola. We all thought Fashola would not be able to win. But he won that election resoundingly. Resoundingly, because he backed him all the way. And he got his own supporters who were not on Fashola's side to forgive whatever excesses that
Fashola may have alleged.
Yes, and then queue behind the candidates of the party.
And those who dubbed Fashola when he became governor, the actualizer, were not wrong after all. And that brings me to the next point, you know, about what the finance minister said, that the federal government is about to adopt the Lagos economic blueprint at the federal level.
Yes, you see, before we get to why the center is now having to look more critically, more seriously at the models of Lagos, we must also speak a bit about even the theme of the colloquium yesterday. You look at it, it was such an apt theme at this junction of our national life. And for somebody to have come up with such a theme for a parley, for a meeting such as held yesterday, speaks to the fact that this man is thinking Nigeria. Yes. And so the minister, by saying that they're going to be looking at models that has made Lagos work, I think in my mind, butterflies are really, you know, I'm happy, excited. I'm very excited. The man that obviously seemed to have been rejected will eventually, ultimately, inevitably become the principal.
That's a very interesting point. We're going to get to that. Yes. But that will be after the break. You're watching Journalists Hangout. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We've looked at his politics. We've looked at his strategy. We've looked at his philanthropy. Indeed, we cannot exhaust these topics as we look at Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And before that break, Yomi was beginning to look at a point that is very interesting about the stone that was rejected will become the cornerstone.
Yes, you see, Bukola, the simple fact is that a person who has proven, who has demonstrated effective competencies, you ignore such a person at your peril. And so you look at Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the experiment ongoing, the victory, the 2015 victory, the administration so far. I think I was quite happy when I heard the minister made that comment yesterday that they were going to be doing a lot of more vigorous IGR drives, and they're going to be looking at taxing the billionaires and the extremely rich some more. And I said, yes, this is what you should have done way back 2015. This is where you should have started from. If perhaps we have started from that point, we may not be in the recession till this point, in this recession till this point. And then if you go beyond that, you see that this man called Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a strategist par excellence. His capacity to spot opportunities where others are looking with disdain is legendary. His capacity to exude warmth love, even in the face of acute malevolence. If anybody said to me that what played out immediately after the 2015 election up until yesterday, if anybody said to me that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed will still be so very warm and accommodating about the party, yes, yeah, well, you may say he should be because he worked hard for the success of that party. But the way he's been virtually relegated speaks to the fact that whether the players, the gladiators now, whether they like it or not, they must go back to, discuss, consult some more with him. He's a figure that in my opinion, is a figure that we cannot afford to ignore. Now,
Yomi says you cannot afford to ignore Asiwaju, but some others say, hey, Asiwaju cannot have it all. What are your points?
Yeah, well, nobody can have it all. But that would take me to something I actually had in mind to talk about. I remember during my postgraduate classes in Bayero University, Kano, ironically, Professor Jega was my lecturer. He took us a course, and in that course we had to do something about development and dictators. And one day he came into the class and he was speaking about developmental dictators. And he cited the example of people who took their countries and societies to great heights, but by having to be a bit firm or tough. And they were regarded or described as dictators. I'm saying this because a lot of people want to tell you, like Riley said, that Asiwaju wants to have everything, have a final say. Sometimes a man needs to do what he has to do. Take a good look at the Lagos model we claim and we talk about that is working today. Look, a good look at Nigeria's return to democracy since 1999 will show one incontrovertible fact, and that's the fact that Lagos is working.
Yeah.
Lagos is working since 1999. And that's why everybody is talking about that model. Asiwaju spent 8 years, looked around, found a Fashola.
Somebody who could drive it for another 8 years.
Who can continue? He did. And focus. Today he is the federal minister of 3 ministries. A confirmation of the fact that he did well. Yes. Then Lagos itself is a confirmation of Fashola's performance.
Exactly.
We are growing. Now, after Fashola, there was need for someone else to continue. And even when someone like the incumbent governor then felt, no, this is what it should be, Asiwaju looked around again, found an Ambode, and barely 2 years into Ambode's time today, I think most Nigerians are agreeing that here is another performer.
Exactly.
I want to say this, having had the opportunity of working very closely within the media environment of Asiwaju, that there were in 2003 people closer to Asiwaju than Fashola.
Yes.
If he was going to be selfish, it wouldn't be a Fashola.
It will have been Tokunbo Afikuyome.
There were people being touted. Tokunbo went to great length for Asiwaju.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
He was closer. There were other names mentioned. There was a woman who Asiwaju in my presence at Sheraton Hotel in Kenya said, look, Lagos, we need to ensure we win this election for our party. Lagos will not take a woman from me now. They were close, but he was interested in making that sacrifice. Then talking about Ambode, there were also people close to Asiwaju who could have been considered. But Asiwaju was looking for something in someone at that particular time. Yeah. And he saw it Ambode, and
Yomi
that's why I went
says,
for him.
Ignore such a man at
your own peril.
Your own peril.
Exactly.
You say a man has got to do what a man has got to do. Now, Jide, there's a silent, I don't know if you have heard it, there's a silent agitation for this man to be at the center. Let me not say much more than that. Asiwaju was able to pull it off in 2015. Do you think he can repeat same feat with the All Progressives Congress, with another political interest or with another political party?
You will see, in politics, 24 hours is a long time. So many things can happen within 24 hours. I've learned with Asiwaju not to rule anything in and not to rule anything out. One thing that I'm sure of is that he's a smart thinker politically. He's the best political strategist in Nigeria at this time. Maybe, perhaps, the person who would have given him a run for his money is the late Shehu Musa Yaradua, because he was like that too. You would never know where Shehu Musa is going. By the time he makes his move, it will be too late for his political enemy. So, and Bola Tinubu worked under him. He was his political boy. You know, if someone close to Bola Tinubu made a move, Shehu Musa Yaradua could predict that it was Asiwaju that advised him. And I will give one example. When, after the June 12th election, the North, generally, Abiola felt, oh, the North didn't want him to become president, and that some of the people supported him through the primaries and even during the election backed out. Yaradua was one of such persons, because it was Yaradua that convened the Northern Consultative Forum meeting, where the North began to talk about the idea of an interim national government, which Obasanjo now took it upon himself to promote, you know, so that Abiola would not become president. Obasanjo never wanted any Yoruba man to match his achievement on the national scale. So, Bola Ahmed Tinubu advised Asiwaju, advised MKO Abiola to travel to Katsina, because Yaradua was bereaved. But you know, both men were not happy with one another. But Asiwaju convinced him, go there. So the moment they got to Katsina, they got to Shehu Musa Yaradua's house, Yaradua just looked in the direction of Asiwaju. Tinubu.
I said, it's your doing.
He knew he was going to give them that politically smart advice. You know, so he's capable, and a man who grew his party from just one state, and then the party expanded and expanded. You cannot put anything beyond him. Politically, he's so smart. He sees things that we do not see. When he was pushing for Ambode, I remember he recorded a video where he was asking Lagosians to vote for Ambode. He felt that the Nigeria of the future needs somebody who can manage funds effectively. See, Ambode has not created new taxes for Lagosians. He has only blocked loopholes. He has only made the system more efficient. That's what he's done. It's not as if he has created fresh taxes. But Lagos of Ambode, even in a recession, is generating much more money than Lagos was generating during Fashion last time. That's why they have money to do so many things when other states are growing. So that is what Tinubu saw in him, an efficient manager of resources. He felt that the Lagos of tomorrow will need that kind of person at that time. I remember when Obasanjo, the Nigerian god of impunity, seized money, this Lagos money. People like Ambode, statutory funds on the Federation account. People like Ambode were the ones who made sure that during that time Lagos never failed to pay salaries. Lagos never lacked anything. So Tinubu has seen that talent. He has spotted him a long time ago.
Ahead of time.
Yes, and he decided that this was the right time to unleash him. Unleash him on Lagos.
All right, we have a caller on the line. Ado from Kano State. Good evening.
No, Ado, I'm calling from Kaduna.
From Kaduna. You're welcome to Journalist Hangout.
You are discussing our mentor today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kaduna, Lagos State has a visionary leader. And that visionary leader gave birth to an actualizer. From an actualizer to a sustainer. Nigeria will forever remain grateful to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In 2011, we were disappointed when he didn't make the merger possible. But in 2015, he came and he made it happen. And honestly, he has the support of the North. If you do not know that before, you should know that now we have the support of the North. We are fully behind the Asiwaju of the North. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ado, for your very deep message from Kaduna. Moving ahead now on Journalist Hangout, Defense Minister says Shekau is still alive and in Sambisa Forest. Find out more after this break. Stay with us. Glad to have you back on Journalist Hangout, and we've been looking at Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as he celebrates his 65th birthday. We've talked a lot about his achievements, his politics, his relationships, everything that you can think of, and yet we're still to exhaust the life of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, before we leave, let's now look at his contributions in the private sector. Daria, I'd like you to take that.
Well, that's one area where, again, you cannot exhaust Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that's one area where many Nigerians, not just Lagosians or Yorubas or Southwest, are grateful to him. As a man, when I saw the theme of yesterday's program, I said, yes, this is one little way of showing where his interest lies when it comes to the private sector in Nigeria. Think Nigeria, make Nigeria, use Nigeria. He has invested heavily into creating job opportunities. If there is still one man in Nigeria today whose sole interest and efforts cuts across all divides, check his organizations. It's across all divides, across all ethnic backgrounds or whatever. And that shows to the extent to which he had gone in fighting one major problem in Nigeria, which is unemployment. In the private sector, Asiwaju has proven to be an unrelenting investor. And I think that's something he should continually be credited for, because that's what this country
Rather
needs.
than take his resources outside
the country.
look
at what is happening now, so that's where you find people, not in banks now, holding cash at home. If such presidents have looked around, create jobs, create
opportunities for people,
create opportunities,
improve lives, even
touch lives.
where those funds are stashed. If you improve lives,
you see
where those funds are stashed,
poverty.
exactly,
I mean,
acute chronic poverty.
So he is one man who, beyond his politics, should be examined critically for what he is doing with his resources. I think sincerely, one thing he will not be forgotten for.
When we talk about some of his legacies, I think you need to look at agencies that he set up. LASMA, even the LOMA and the rest, KAI. Today, every state is replicating LASMA. I was in Kano. Kano now has something that is called Karota. That is the Kano Road Transport Agency. In Ogun State.
They have Trace.
They have Trace. In fact, Ogun State is extremely grateful to Lagos State. Extremely grateful. That's a state where that has been able to kind of benefit tremendously from the progress, that the growth and development that Lagos has seen over the years. Even the IGR that moved up, there is no financial engineering that happened. It's just the fact that Lagos is there, and it was agreed both that, look, we are in the same party. So residents of Ogun State, residents in Ogun State who work in Lagos
can do their tax
element
and be done in Ogun.
That's just what happened. That alone gave Ogun State 4 billion. It's not as if they did anything extraordinary.
And again, you see,
even me now, I pay my tenement
in
Ogun State.
You see, to take it further, you will realize that a person like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the vision he has transcends even Lagos. And this is why it will be a bit premature to rule anything in, like Jide said, or rule anything out, 2018. He's a far-thinking, far-seeing strategist. And I'm sure he would by now have started looking at how best he can impact Nigeria 2018. And so he's eminently qualified to run for any office. It's at his discretion to then, therefore, look at how best to optimize the opportunities as they present going into 2018. That's my take.
And on that 2018 possibility, what's your last word?
2019.
Well, like it has been rightly stated, he is eminently qualified to vie for any position. I want to strongly, very strongly believe that Asiwaju, knowing him for the master strategist he is, will watch events, analyze happenings, then he will take his chance.
All right, we'll leave it at that. That's a good way to drop the anchor on the celebration of Asiwaju. Moving ahead now, ask me about a man with 9 lives, and I will show you Abubakar Shekau. He has been reported killed by the Nigerian army more than 5 times, but he's still alive. Last September, a Nigerian army general insisted that Shekau had been killed. Well, we doubted the claim, but today we now know that Nigerians may have been misled. Minister of Defense Mansour Dan Ali said the most wanted terrorist in Nigeria and Cameroon, Abubakar Shekau, is alive and still in Sambisa, the same forest the army claimed it had captured and chased away terrorists from. Now, the commander of the operation, Lafi Adole, admitted that last year Shekau was alive. With this development, Nigeria may have broken a record for being a country that has killed a terrorist 5 times and the terrorist still walks free. What exactly is going on? I still have that image ingrained in my mind of the picture made public, was it last year or 2 years ago, of Abubakar Shekau, who had obviously been killed according to what the Nigerian military made us believe. Jide.
We said at the time that he had not been killed, and I was waiting for an opportunity to be proved right. I've been proved right repeatedly when the matter has to do with Nigerian security, the Nigerian army. You see, I said on this program, if people who go back to some of what I said the army only controls a small part of Sambisa. And it's not because the Nigerian army is not a great army. It's not because they can fight. It's the size of Sambisa that we are talking about now. It's the size of Sambisa that is the issue. A forest that stretches as far as Gwaram in Jigawa State. Just look at the map of Nigeria. Look at Borno State here, and look at where Jigawa is. This is a forest that stretches through 7 states. So it's not we don't have the kind of army that can fully police the Sambisa. We don't. And I remember saying that even the Algerian army that has 2 million fighters, they can't police Sambisa if you bring them here because of the sheer size. I once listened to someone on radio who said, why can't we put soldiers in Sambisa, you know, to arrest Shekau? I just shook my head and laughed because I knew that person knows practically nothing about Sambisa. So now, given the size of Sambisa, it is understandable that those guys are probably still there. And for the minister to have said that, look, this man is still in Sambisa, I feel pained. I'm ashamed to hear that, given all the noise that we made and the celebration that went. But I remember that Shekau in his second to the last video said, "Ba in the Akaporemu," that there is nowhere they chased us from, which may well mean that he's saying, see, we are still in this bush. And if you see the way the video was shot, the vegetation, you see clearly that it's kind of consistent with Sambisa vegetation. So, but you see, the question is, how do you pinpoint the exact location where he is? So that is the challenge for our people. And I'm happy that the minister for our army, the minister said that President Buhari has told them that they should go and work harder. Governor Kashim Shettima of Borno State has said, see, we don't want the rains to start without thoroughly defeating these guys, because if the rains start, we are in trouble. In fact, the governor predicted that if the rains should start, even before we crush Boko Haram, by the end of 2018, we will still be fighting them. That's what the governor said. So now we know, we suspect that they are still there because some attacks have taken place in communities on the fringes of Sambisa, especially in Uba, along the border with Adamawa State. between Borno and Adamawa State. So we should just intensify our efforts, continue to pursue intelligence, and find a way, locate this guy, give him the justice that he deserves, something similar to the justice that Bin Laden got. And then our Chibok girls, I keep talking about it, and the president has said, look, we cannot say we've defeated Boko Haram until we found the Chibok girls alive. So we need to work harder to locate the Chibok girls and to serve justice to Shekau.
Yomi, smite the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. But in the case where the shepherd has not been smitten and the military says Boko Haram has been decimated, Sambisa Forest cleared, at least their camp in Sambisa Forest cleared. Now, it flies in the face of the claim by the military.
No doubt. You know, at this place we had in previous hangouts, we have said that we celebrate a mite too early. We are wont to celebrate a mite too early and to celebrate trivial, minute victories. Sambisa is, by my reckoning, the Sambisa forest should be seen as a national emergency involving all the fringe states that borders that thick forest, involving the federal government, possibly involving neighboring countries. Yeah. And that, with such a concerted effort, attack from multiple directions with the focus at the center. If you are looking at taking a 60,000 square kilometer landmass, it's not a tea party. And our military, we must give them kudos, we must commend their courage thus far. They still need to learn certain lessons in discretion, you know, in being slow to celebrate. To
jubilate.
You know, because now the monster is alive. And for as long
and you are telling us he's still in Sambisa.
For as long as it's alive, it means that anything can happen. And things indeed have been happening. So for me, I think the way to go is to step up the category of classification of Sambisa. Take it to whatever level the security, maybe level 8 or level 10 classification as security targets. And then muster several concerted and cohesive efforts towards, and then there must be a national plan for that forest. That place is too massive to look. Lagos is congested. Why don't we take mega cities? We're looking at 60,000 square kilometers of land. Follow. We can take all manners of industry, all manner of cities, all manner of development projects to that place.
Let's come to Dari. He talks about cohesive effort. It always reminds me, the battle against Boko Haram always reminds me about the task before the Joint Military Task Force. Are they looking sufficiently about a more coordinated effort to move into Sambisa Forest and clear the terrorists?
Well, talking about Sambisa and talking about Shekau, to me, is always a very Herculean task. Here is an organization that was allowed to grow wings for so many years, and something should have been done. And now we have an administration that is struggling, as I want to put it. Forget the celebrations. Each time we slap Shekau, we want to announce that we slapped him and he wept. Each time we chased him and he ran, we want to celebrate dance. And call parties. I think it's distraction. These are distractions. The issue with Shekau and Sambisa, vis-a-vis security efforts to solve the problem, goes beyond searching for one man. The noise, the euphoria we attach to whatever happens to Shekau is not doing this battle any good. We should look at how can Sambisa be freed of terrorists. And like it has been stated, it goes beyond looking at the Sambisa, the Borno state angle of Sambisa and thinking we are doing something. All the fringe states, Cameroon, Chad, Niger, Sudan, any other country
must look holistically.
It must, and that would take me to something.
We must wrap it up now. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time on Journalist Hangout today. And that's all we have for you. Join us again tomorrow for another interesting edition of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. Thank you again for watching. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.